Shalom. All praises to the Heavenly Father. Hatun Apukuya. Praise be to the earthly mother, the Pachamama, and all of her earthly angels, the Huaca. Praise be to the Holy Spirit, the Kahe. In the name of Hamashiach, Motsah the Lamb, unification to the nation. So guys, today we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to touch a little bit more about Edom. Now we're not going to get into the culture in depth with the Iduma people and the Edo state quite yet, but we're just going to switch gears a little bit. And hey, there's just a lot of information. I'm trying my best to present it in a way where it's understandable. But to sum everything up until this point, I'm pretty much saying that the Portuguese teamed up with these different kingdoms that were ruling in West Africa, and they expelled the Israelites and other groups such as the children of Keturah and things of that sort, and they sold them off as slaves while they protected their own people. They didn't just sell just Israelites, they sold native Africans as well. Pretty much anyone who was willing to team up with them or wasn't like poor, right? But I really do think it was more so, hey, let's round up these people and let's get rich, right? They made a confederacy pretty much, you know. They sold us, and they sold other groups as well. And I think the majority of them were transported all around the world, right? A lot to Brazil, decent amount to the Caribbean, but you know, the vast majority, I don't think they traveled from right to left from the Atlantic. They did though, but I don't think it was nearly as much as they're making it out to be, because they're trying to make it seem as if there were no dark-skinned people in the Americas. Now, of course, we do have that admixture of, you know, the so-called African look or phenotype or whatever, but our people went over there. Some of our people came from over there, and vice versa. Our people went over there. Wait, what? All right, I got mixed up, but you know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, let's get into it. So we're in the Midrash, right? Now let's see what they have to say about Edom, because it's very telling about who Edom truly is. And when we don't pay attention to records like this, I know I don't necessarily use it for my spiritual worship, but as far as historical accuracy, it could be a very good tool. So let's get into it. To the land of Seir in the fields of Edom. What is the meaning to the land of Seir? That he makes one's hair stand on end. To the fields of Edom. And those are the precepts. Genesis chapter 63, verse 12. 75, verse 4. I didn't know there was a... Okay. He is red. He is red. And didn't we read that that much of the Yoruba are considered as red? And we're actually going to get into that in later parts when we touch on the Fulani and the Phoenicians. Now you could think that, all right, well, the red that he was red like a so-called white man, right? Like that pink flaky skin. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But I don't really think that he was white. He was probably like a ginger or a light-skinned so-called melanated person. Or maybe he was a strict albino. Whatever it is. All I'm saying is that, okay, let me say this. The same word that was used to describe Esau was also used to describe David. Now, I don't think many people would think that King David, looked like a white dude. Now, that is the same exact word that was used. I still have not seen anyone get around that. They keep saying that, okay, well, you know, ruddy like a cow. And I'm like, okay, so David was that type of ruddy. So what were the Israelites then? You know? So What type of red are we talking about? Are we talking about the white people red, the pink skin red? Are we talking about uh Nigerian red or even Native American red? I don't know. But no one has really been able to help me out with that. What type of red was Esau? And before you say that he was white, again, note that David was the same word was used for David to describe him. So anyway, let's continue. He is red. His food is red. Let's see if I can find that picture real quick. His food is red. I got you. His warriors are red. Okay, let's try to find some warriors. And of course, this is where they get the Black Panther movie. They got these people from the Dahomey tribe. Now, I actually think that the Dahomey people are a mixture between the tribe of Dan and Edom. But we'll get to that. And they don't have any modern day depictions of any warriors or anything like that, other than the Oba himself or the king. And wouldn't you know, his costume is all red. This is just one depiction of the various warriors, of the various Edo warriors. So his warriors, the warriors, wear red. The king wears red. The food is red. His attire is red. His shields are red. His land is red. Trying to get a good shot at that land. There we go. And this is what they do at their festival. They pick the reddest land that they can find, and they march on it. They stomp on it. They do their rituals and things of the sort, right? These people are Hebrews, by the way. The one who stands up to him is red, meaning David. And the one who extracts retribution from him is red in red attire. Exacts retribution from him is red in red attire. That's talking about the Messiah when he stains his white garments with their blood. Now, what type of Edom is it talking about? Because these are the original Edomites. We're going to read in later parts when we start talking about the Romans and pretty much how did these black people turn into these white people. And that's when we talk about the invasion of the Kittim, the formation of the I can't even say this, bro. The Etruscans, the Phoenicians, and the Romans. That's when I'm going to try to bring it together. He is red. So, I forgot what I was going to say. So, yeah, I'm not sure what it's talking about. If it's talking about these people, it wouldn't surprise me because I'm about to show you what type of role that a certain group of people had who were living in their exact area, who were also called red. And their country was called red, just not in the language of English. So if these are Hebrews, then they must speak Hebrew, right? So all this stuff about Adom, Adom, it means Grace? Really? That's a Hebrew word. It is a Hebrew word, bro. That they're holding dearly. What do you mean? Like, do you really believe that? They wear all this red. They call their country red. Yet that means grace. He is red, according to Genesis 25:25. The first Esau came forth ruddy. His food is red. Please let me gulp down some of this red stuff. His warriors are red, according to Nahum chapter 2, verse 4. Really? I didn't even know that. Let's look that up. He that dasheth in pieces is come before thy face. Keep the munition. Watch the way. Make thy loin strong. Fortify thy power mightily. For the Lord hath turned away the excellency of Jacob, as the excellency of Israel. For the emptiers have emptied them out, and marred their vine branches. The shield of his mighty men is made red. The valiant men are in scarlet. I don't remember reading this, bro. That's actually crazy. The valiant men are in scarlet. The chariots shall be with flaming torches in the day of his preparation. And the fir trees shall be terribly shaken. The chariots shall rage in the streets. They shall jostle one against another in the broad ways. They shall seem like torches. They shall run like the lightnings. Interesting. His warrior shields are red. His attire is red. And his soldiers are clothed in crimson. His shields are red. His warriors are red. His land is red. To the lands of Seir and the field of Edom. And the fields can mean the earth or the land of Edom. And the root word for Edom is Adom. As we see right here. Edom, from this root word, meaning Adom. So there's a reason why we're reading this. And we're probably going to come back to this when we touch on the Romans. But let's get to this, man. So there's actually been a lot of hidden history, guys. Brothers, there's been a lot of hidden history when it comes to many of these different people. But particularly these different nations of West Africa. They have totally hidden underneath the radar. And it's actually incredible. Because no one has taken a really good look at them. Let me just touch on the Dahomey real quick before I forget. That's the Dahomey. They ain't my homies. Look at them. I was going to touch on this on them in the last video, but I got tired. The Kingdom of Dahomey was a West African kingdom located within present-day Benin that existed from approximately 1600 until 1904. Wow, they seem to rose into prominence while we were falling, huh? Interesting. Dahomey developed on the Amobi Plateau amongst the Fon people in the early 17th century and became a regional power in the 18th century by conquering key cities on the Atlantic coast. Wait, stop. Wait a minute, hold up. Okay, I confused the Fon people for the fancy people. Anyway, for much of the 18th and 19th centuries, the Kingdom of Dahomey was a key regional state, eventually ending tributary status to the Oyo Empire. The Kingdom of Dahomey was an important regional power that had an organized domestic economy built on conquest and slave labor. Significant international trade with Europeans, a centralized administration, taxation systems, and an organized military. Notable in the kingdom were a significant artwork, an all-female military unit called the Dahomey Amazons by European observers, and the elaborate religious practices of Vodun, with the large festival of the annual customs of Dahomey, which involved large-scale human sacrifice. These sound like Canaanites. The growth of Dahomey coincided with the growth of the transatlantic slave trade. Hold on. Let's read that again. Because, guys, I messed up. I thought that, okay, see, I'm listening to people, and this is why you can't listen to people. You just have to do your own research. This is why I urge it so much. Because I made videos saying, oh, yeah, they're actually the God Dahomey. That means that they're Gad and Dan. No, they're not. These are not my people. If they're Dan, they're still not my people. These aren't my people. Straight up, they're not my people. If you guys believe in the prophecy, you say believe in the prophecies. You can't look at these people and say, oh, well, you know, they can't grow their hair. They're bald. Therefore, they're Israelites. That's not how this works, bro. You can't do that. A lot of Esau's black, bro. Like, people... bro, it took me so long to come to that conclusion. Because I really do not like the white man, bro. I don't. I have a strong disdain for him. Inherently, I just do. Must be an ancestral thing. So it took me a very long time to say, yo, I don't think that they are the original Edomites. I'm not saying that the Edomites are not white today. But that's not how they originally looked. And not all of them are. That's not their original look. Esau mixed in with white people at various different times. And that's the sad truth. And I'm seeing it today with a lot of the hatred that many of these so-called black people have. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, y'all are not my people. This is why I make the videos that I do. Because it's the spirit, bro. We're finally getting separated from these damn tares that have been sown among us. It's a beautiful thing. But yes, anyway, my rant over. Let's continue. The growth of the Dahomey coincided with the growth of the Atlantic slave trade, and it became known to European traders as a major source of slaves. Hold on, I thought it was the transatlantic slave trade. Now they call it the Atlantic slave trade. That's interesting. Because when you're saying trans, you're making it seem as if you're going from one side of the ocean to the other. Meaning you're going from the Americas to Africa or Africa to the Americas. You know? Anyway. And became known to European traders as a major source of slaves. The kingdom captured prisoners during wars and raids and sold them into the Atlantic slave trade in exchange for European goods such as rifles, gunpowder, fabrics, cowrie shells, tobacco, pipes, and alcohol. So they wanted the tobacco in the Americas that bad? Bro, these are savages, bro. You can't convince me that these are my people. And they even got the snake on the flag, bro. They're telling you who they are. Like, man, the tribe of Dan, they pretty much fully mixed in with the Gentiles. And they were pretty much against Israel. They were in England as the Vikings, right? They mixed in with the Anglo-Saxons, right? And many of them are the so-called British today. Some of the British come from, you know, Joseph, honestly. But the vast majority are the tribe of Dan. Or they're, you know, different Gentiles. So yeah, that's where they get it from. This whole movie, bro, this whole movie was about Esau's history that they're trying to push on the Israelites. And I finally caught on to the plan that Satan's been trying to do. He's trying to make sure that we're still intertwined, that we're still beckoning back to Esau's land over there in West Africa and not coming back to our land here in the Americas. I'm going to wait a hell of a long time before they put a brown-skinned Indian or native of the Americas, not looking all that mestizo looking, more looking a little bit more original, more brown. Yeah, I'll wait for eternity for that movie to come, because it's not going to come. They'll bring this out before they bring that out. I guarantee you that. You will never get a Tecumseh movie. We will never get a Geronimo movie. We won't get a Montezuma movie. We won't get a Tupac Inca, Yupanqui, Pachacuti. We won't get none of that. You will get this though. It's for a reason, man. But anyway, we are going to get into the hidden history. The hidden history of the Adom country. Hidden history, bro. Oh man, I'm excited. Adom, Supomi, and the Jabi or Yarbiwi or I don't know, bro. I don't know. Anyway, cases of identity in a period of shifting paramountcies. What sets me wondering most in this country is the extent of the Adom country. I do not know of a state called Jabi. The paramount stool of Shama in southern Ghana covers an area along and west of the Pra River about 10 miles inland. Among the subsidiary stools in Shama are Supomi and Supon Dunkwa and Yarbwi. Supon Dunkwa is located in the northern part of the Shama stool, and in the Shama tradition hierarchy in the Supomi Heni holds the post of the Namfahini, while the Yarbiwin, situated in the central part of Shama stool, holds that the Adon Tihin. These, together with the chief of Nachaba, who holds the office of Benkumhen, are the most important divisional chiefs in Shama stool. Although the Afaso companies in Shama town probably exert more influence than any of them. Several villages are attached to the Nympha and Adontin divisions, that is, to Sipomi and Yarbwi. In the 1970 census, these villages named in the 1948 census as constituting the Nympha division had a population of more than 2,200, while those alright, I'm gonna skip this. Hold on. Let's skip to the next paragraph. In the late 17th and early 18th centuries, the states of Adom and Jabi, but particularly Adom, were among the most important on the western Gold Coast, capable of impeding or promoting trade. And bro, I can't, bro. This is crazy. I have to start over, bro. In the late 17th and early 18th centuries, the states of Adom and Jabi, but particularly Adom, were among the most important on the western Gold Coast, capable of impeding or promoting and of affecting the course of local African or Afro-European wars through their policies. They had the highest and strongest effect on it, bro, in the 16 and 1700s. The Adom country and the Jabi. This period of prominence was relatively brief. By the middle of the 18th century, the expansion of the Fanti and rise of Wassa and the appearance of a powerful Asante significantly altered the earlier geopolitical morphology of the area. Let's stop, because people, they say that the Ashanti are the sons of Ashan, and that's a town in Judah. Um, let me ask you this: if the Israelites are getting enslaved and they're going through the worst time that they've ever gone through, why are the Ashanti or the Asante, why are they gaining power during the slave trade? Why? See, I know who these Negroes are, bro. These people are Edomites, for real. They're bigging up these different tribes that are eating. They're straight eating, bro. They're eating off of the grave of my ancestors, right? Or my brothers or my uncles or whatever. And they have the nerve to say that these people are Israel when they were getting rich off of Israel and off of different peoples that they were selling. That doesn't make any sense to me, bro. And it said that the expansion of the Fanti, right? Okay, let's go to Kasser. This is what I was waiting for. I've gone over this many times before. But let's see. Kasser, from Portuguese, Sasar, to marry, was the term applied to marriage alliances largely in West Africa set up between European and African slave traders. The husband was European, while the wife/concubine African. There was not marriage under Christian auspices, although there might be an African ceremony. There were few clergies in equatorial Africa, and wives could not marry since they had not been baptized. Male monogamy was not expected. As such, concubinage is a more accurate term. The multinational Quaker slave trader and polygamist Zephaniah Kingsley purchased Wolof Princess Anna Kingsley, who had earlier been enslaved and sold in Cuba, after being captured in modern-day Senegal. Kasser created political and economic bonds. And then we read in the last part that the Edo, that they gave them their wives to marry, bro. Like, what the hell? And the Edo, they were the first people who they went to. They were the first. To the point where their language got intertwined with the Portuguese slave traders, with these mulatto, Portuguese, Edo, West African slave traders. The name is European and reflects similar relationships of Portuguese men who were the first explorers of the West African coast. But it inundated European contact, selling a daughter, if not for cash, then for some economic benefit, including simple peace, was pre-European practice used to integrate the other form of daughters. You see, they forced that upon the Indians, right? Now, some of them, they were absolute cowards, and they gave their daughters up. And also, some of the nations here were not our people. Some of the nations, they willingly gave up their daughters. They willingly intermarried. They willingly did it. Certain groups, the majority of the groups got taken over, but certain groups willingly integrated with these Caucasians, because it was mainly the Caucasians who were enslaving the eastern part, right? And that's after, like, the Sephardic Jews and such, that they came over here, right, at a very early period. But they were the main ones afterward. They pretty much took over, like, they pretty much betrayed these quote unquote mulatto people, and then they took over. That's pretty much what happened. Sorry, I'm thinking on too many things right now. Let me just continue. Powerful West African groups with ties to the slave trade used these marriages to strengthen their alliances with European men by marrying off their daughters. Early on in the Atlantic slave trade, these marriages were common. This explains all the mulatto Sephardic Jews. This explains it. And some of these people were already dark looking anyway. Many of these people were the slave masters, then they got taken over by the white man, mixed this all up, and now these black people talking about, let's go back to Africa, after they came over here as a slave master. as a mulatto slave master. That's crazy to me, bro. These marriages were sometimes performed using African customs which Europeans did not object to, seeing how important the connections were. Many coastal ethnic groups in West Africa, such as the Ga and the Fanti, used this system to gain political and economic advantages, and enabled Africans to trust strangers like the Europeans when dealing within their trade networks. It made the transition from strangers to trading partners a lot smoother. Gold Coast Euro-Africans were a historic demographic based on coastal urban settlements in colonial Ghana that arose from unions between European men and African women from the late 15th century, the decade between 1471 and 1482, until the mid-20th century, circa 1957, when Ghana attained its independence. In this period, different geographic areas in the Gold Coast were politically controlled at various times by the Portuguese, Germans, Swedes, Danes, Dutch, and British. There are also records of merchants of other European nationalities such as the Spaniards, French, Italians, and Irish operating along the coast, in addition to American sailors and traders from New York, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. Euro-Africans were influential in intellectual, technocratic, artisanal, commercial, and public life in general, actively participating in multiple fields of scholarly and civic importance. Scholars have referred to this Euro-African population of the Gold Coast as Creoles, mulattoes, and these different terms, among other descriptions. The term Uwula conveys contemporary notions of gentlemanliness, learning, and urbanity, or a big salaried man, or a salaried big man in the Ga language. See, these people completely, like, just bent over and just like, please take our daughters, take everything, just bless us. But these are Israelites, right? They got rich, they got power. No, bro. No. The cross-cultural interactions between Europeans and Africans were mercantile driven and an avenue to boost social capital for economic and political gain, i.e. wealth and power. The growth and development of Christianity during the colonial period also instituted motifs in modernity, visa Euro-African identity. This model created a spectrum of practices ranging from a full celebration of native African customs to a total embrace and acculturation of European culture. Gold Coast Euro-Africans were mostly members of the Anlo-Iwi, Fanti, and Ga ethnicities. So I remember why I covered the Iwi. Well, these people seem like they sold the hell out. See, now that makes me like, wow. But this is what it is, bro. It's a constant uphill thing. You're constantly learning, right? So those could be quote unquote Hebrews, but that does not mean that they're Israelites. I messed up there because I don't think that the Iwi are Israelites. I don't. They're Hebrews that mix in with these other Europeans. That's probably why they're so damn light skinned. That's probably why. That's crazy to me, bro. Let's continue in this article that we were reading before. This period of prominence was relatively brief. By the middle of the 18th century, the expansion of the Fanti and rise of the Motsah and the appearance of a powerful Asante significantly altered the earlier geopolitical morphology of the area. In this process, the name Adom or Adom as a toponym gradually disappeared, and within another 50 years, Jabi and its variants appeared only very sporadically, and then only in the most local correspondence. Bro, they switched their identity. They went from being named Adom to being named Jabi for a little bit, and they kept switching their name. A measure of the obscurity into which Adom or Adam and Jabi fell is illustrated in some recent attempts to identify them. The editorial notes to the 1967 reprint of William Bosman's work identified Bosman's Jabish land with Asibu, and provided no modern equivalent at all for Adom. The Adom on the Dutch map published in 1629. What? Hold on. No, I think this is what I was looking for, bro. It said 1629. I've been looking for this the whole time. How did I not? Oh man, we in real time, bro. Is this it? I hope this is it. Oh, they playing games. Alright, if I don't pull it up in the next couple of seconds, I'm gonna just move on. Alright, whatever. Let's just continue. Has been speculatively identified with the modern stool of Ajomero or Apataim. Apataim, yeah, located a few miles north of Amix. Another description of the 1629 map refrained from identifying either its Adom or Jabue. This paper has a limited purpose: to trace the transition of Adom and Jabi into the modern day subordinate stools of Supomi and Yarbui. While it would obviously be a more fruitful task to attempt to reconstruct the histories of these states, the data simply are too fragmentary to present this now, and probably for the future as well. In lieu of this, the present paper should be considered as an effort in historical reclamation rather than historical reconstruction. In this case, to demonstrate that if Adom and Jabi seem to disappear rather suddenly from the peer view of contemporaneous observers, I don't know, bro, is separated, bro. Contemporaneous and observers, they scarcely sank without a trace. Neither Adom or Jabi seems to have been mentioned in the extant Portuguese records of the 15th, 16th, and 17th centuries. Even so, it is likely that the statement of a Shama official that we claim to be earlier than Fanti is correct. The chief of Shama, mentioned by João de Barros in connection with the establishment of São Jorge da Mina in 1482, was probably a ruler of Jabi since, as we see, Shama was not a separate political entity before the late 18th century and was generally regarded as part of Jabi. Several 16th century writers mention Shama as an important trading point on the coast, but none of them provided enough detail about the political circumstances of the town to allow us to judge whether it was independent or subject to an inferior state. So, as it seems, the Portuguese did not call whomever they were dealing with in the same area, they did not call it Adom. They called them something else. And they're trying to trace who. And now he's about to tell you something that you won't be able to disagree with me anymore. With the coming of the Dutch to the Gold Coast of our sources improve our knowledge and tend to become fuller because more of the Dutch records have survived, and also because, from all evidence, the Dutch took a much greater interest in the affairs of the neighboring African states than had the Portuguese, who seemed to regard their forts as more self-imposed prisons than as opportunities for cultural contact. I don't know about that. But this dude, who traveled to the Gold Coast in 1599 slash the 1600s, spoke of places named Ayabi and Kama. Where's my music at, bro? Spoke of places named Ayabi and Kama, where the Portuguese traded, and of Edom. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. So the Portuguese knew them as Edom. Am I making this up? Am I making this up? Where the Portuguese traded, and of Edom, Motsah, Camendo, and other places whose people came to Little Comida to trade, thereby bypassing the Portuguese ensconced at Shama. So is it the Edoma or is it the Edom? Is it the Idoma or is it the Edoma? And the Dutch called it Adom. The Portuguese seem to have called it Edom. The map prepared by the Dutch at Muri, then their headquarters in 1629, showed Adom as a large state straddling the Pra River. The annotations to this map spoke of the Adom people bringing gold to Akitaki and Ahanta. Jabu was described as a little country with a town of its own, where the people came down the river Pra to trade with the Portuguese. Its schematic presentation shows Jabi touching the coast only at the mouth of the Pra, just as Bosman's verbal description seemed to do later. Adom was described as being constantly at war with Ahanta. Then the most important coastal state west of the Pra, another situation which seemed to carry forward to Bosman's time. So I wonder who the Ahanta are. That's interesting, something to look up. Let's go to this other one real quick, because there's a book, right? And listen, guys, this stuff is really hidden. Like, this PDF is mad rare. There is no type of history done on this stuff, and everything is written in Dutch. The Portuguese hid all this stuff. You never, bro. Try to find the fact that the Portuguese pretty much traded with the people called Edom. Try finding that. That, man, you know how long it took me to find this? Like, what the hell? This stuff is hidden. This is not easy to find. I'm telling you, man. So these are some translations of this book that I wanted to get. It's like a Dutch book. It's like one of the only books that the Dutch wrote regarding West Africa, and these are some translations from it. So there's just some words. I'm just gonna search up Adom. I'm gonna put both of these PDFs in the description so you guys can check them out, by the way. We're just gonna go through anything in this that's called Adom. Two potent neighbors, principally those of Adom, right? Jabishian and Adamese country, even beyond Jufer, and, if one may believe the Negroes, more than 100 miles to the interior. But this is by no means certain. The river is also quite wide and beautiful, and hardly less considerable than that of Onkober. But the advantage it has above the other river is that loaded boats. Hey, it's like the Dutch dropped the bag, bro. When they posted that map, they dropped the bag. They fumbled the bag, bro. Indeed. And what sets me wondering most in this country is the extent of the Adom country, because one sees it here along the river of Chama, as well as on the river Ankober, which is more than 16 miles along the seashore. And yet the Adom country is not very big. The only thing I could imagine is that it is situated like a carpenter's square, first upwards along the river of Chama, and then in a single strip of land up to the Rio Cobre. And bro, there's just like, you try to look up these places, you will not find a river Chama in West Africa anymore, or or uh or any of these other rivers, bro. Like, you just don't find them. Like, this stuff is really, really hidden. So I wonder, what is the Adom country? We just talked about the fields of Edom, or the fields of Adom. What's the Adom country? The Dutch version has, since my departure from the coast of from the coast, the measure of the Adomers' evil doing was filled up, bro. And the Director General and his counselors had the opportunity to destroy them completely through other Negroes. Their country is now inhabited by other blacks, and it is therefore to be hoped that our fort at Chama, which was much improved and rendered more impressive by Mr. Director Pieter Nutis, will again become a good trading place. So I guess this is when they started to fight over power. After they started selling us, then they were fighting amongst each other a little bit. I don't know, bro. But yeah, that's how the wicked are. Once they stop fighting us, that's when they fight each other. That's what's supposed to happen in these last days too. So that actually doesn't surprise me at all. Came over to our side with the Akanist people. Wow. Akanist people. Peoples who found themselves in a short time so much strengthened with those of Adom and others that they could attack those of Kamani in a second battle, so warm on both sides. We agreed with those of Adom that they would execute for less than 6,000 guiders. What those of Fantin had failed to do for us, but with this we had no success either, because they could not agree about the distribution of gold. So they all stayed home without making a move, and so did the Acantists and the Cabisturus, who had promised to march out with those of Adom. And we cast out last anchor, which was that we convinced the Dinkras to come down for the mentioned purpose, for more than 800 guiders. But in this we were as unfortunate in the preceding cases, because these people had themselves to face a war from the interior, and were obligated to neglect our cause to defend their own country.
If you were wondering which company would help electric vehicles go mainstream, look no further than the company that made it.
Now check this out. The English translator's omission of the Acantis people is surprising. In those days, the Acantis certainly were considered more important than the Adoms. They played a very important role as gold traders, particularly in the area of the greatest concentration of trading stations. They have been identified as the people living at that time between Ashanti, or the Ashanti, and the Pra River, controlling a bridgehead to the south at Kushia. This passage shows that at this stage of the war, the people of the far interior were already involved. Bro. So the person who's translating this into English is pretty much saying, no, the Adoms pretty much had a pretty big slice of the slavery pie, of as far as apprehending them and selling them. We're gonna read a little bit more, and I'm just gonna stop, and you guys can read the rest, because I've kind of proven my point already. But let's read a little bit more. Most other references to Adom and Jabi during the 17th century were concerned with their role in various local wars, with their treaty uh, relationships with the Dutch and English, or with the problems they presented to trade. From these references, it is clear that both were independent states whose friendship was thought to be worthwhile, both to the Dutch and to the English, and furthermore that Jabi controlled most of that area near the mouth of Pra, and that less clearly the inhabitants of Shama were subject to or part of Jabi. Adom seems to have reached the peak of its power and influence toward the end of the century, perhaps at least partly as a result of the disorders caused by the Comita Wars of the 1690s. Bosman thought that Adom was a republic or commonwealth, governed by 5 or 6 of the principal men. It was able to wage war almost assistantly. I don't know, bro. And Bosman claimed that in 1690, Adom had almost ruined the country and people of Ahanti till a state of some consequence. Who are the Ahanti people? Let's see if we can look that up real quick. The Ahanta are Akan people who live to the north and east of Zima. The Ahanta land has been historically known as one of the richest areas on the coast of what is now Ghana. Interesting. That is pretty interesting. But as I said, guys, just because you're living in a certain area or you're among a certain group of people, that doesn't mean that you're a part of that culture, you're a part of that seed line, you're a part of that people. That's not what it means. People say that the Igbo are the Israelites, right? Some people say Yoruba are Israelites. Some people say the people in Ghana are Israelites. There are Israelites all over there, or they were living there. I can't tell you how much are there anymore. I have no idea. I barely know enough West African history. But what I do know is that Akan people were selling other quote-unquote Akan people. Igbo were selling other Igbo. Yoruba were selling other Yoruba. Because they're in these tribal areas, but they're not part of their tribe. They're not a part of their people. Because there are still people over there today who are living large, who are part of these different ethnicities. That's how I know. The Cherokee tribe today and the Cherokee tribe back then are not the same thing. Anyway, let's continue. Still a state of some consequence. As a republic, whatever we may make of that term, Adom's role in the Comenda Wars was even more complex than that of the other polities. Bro, am I reading this wrong? I don't know, bro. I'm tripping right now. It's been a long day. Like, my eyes, bro, like, they're really blurry. I have to get a new job because I can't be looking at computer screens all day. Whereas many stocks' allegiance changed over time, the Adoms could be found supporting both the Dutch and the English simultaneously. For instance, when Dutch supported blacks captured and burned the English fort at Sekondi in 1698, they enjoyed the support of a contingent from Adom. Nevertheless, the larger body of Adom forces fell upon them after the capture of the fort and drove them away. One constant during this period, though, was the recurrent warfare between Adom and Motsah, then beginning to emerge as an important state. For a time, fortunes varied, but as we will see in time, the Motsahs were able to occupy most of the Adom country. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stop here, bro. Because if I can't read, then there's no point. So we're gonna continue this conversation This is just more stuff, bro. The Portuguese met with a people and traded with the people who they refer to as Edom. Edom. May peace be with you.